Good morning and welcome to episode 48 of the Beks Creates podcast. My name is Beks and I'm coming to you from Bristol, where I live with my husband Paul, our 15-month-old boy Jasper and our Norwegian forest cat Mufasa. Hi, it's Sunday morning. The weather is, obviously I've got to talk about the weather, being a British podcaster. The weather is changeable, I think is the best word. It's currently sunny, but it's also cloudy, quite windy, and there has been rain this morning. It's the 25th of August, and I'm fixated on the weather more than usual today because today is our annual, we call it a street party, but it's just kind of neighbour get together really. So I really want the weather to be good, because if not, it's a bit of a squeeze inside. Yeah, it's just more fun if it's outside. I think we're going to be okay, but there is a little bit of a shower forecast, so we will have to see. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to it. And this is why I've got time to podcast this morning, because Paul and Jasper have walked to Sainsbury's to get last minute bits of food and drink for the party. So I thought while they're out, I will quickly podcast because I'm itching to share some stuff with you. And then I need to go downstairs and make salads and cake and all sorts of fun things for the party. So yeah, so it's not actually been that long since I've been here, miraculously. After I last podcast, obviously I had loads to show you last time because I'd not podcast for ages. And then shortly after I podcast, I finished a couple of big knits. And my mojo just completely disappeared, which is pretty unlike me. But I found a couple of things that have brought it back in style. So I wanted to kind of show you what I've been getting on with. I haven't got loads to show, but I've got quite a lot to talk about, I feel. So yeah, it's going to be good. I have got a new design in the pipeline. It is now happening. I've actually got a collaboration with the yarn, which is really exciting, which I'll tell you about in a bit. I've got test knitters lined up. It's happening, which is scary, but yeah, I'll talk about that more in a minute. So yeah, I've got sort of one and a bit finished objects, if you like. You'll see what I mean in a minute. I've only bought 2 whips to show you because sort of I'm being pretty monogamous and I still don't want to show the design quite yet. And then I've got some future knitting to show you, some future knitting plans to show you, because I'm quite excited to knit a few garments, which is cool. So let's show you finished objects to start with. So my first finished object is kind of a refinished object, if you like. So you've seen this before. This is my Cumulus blouse by Petite Knit that I knit. I think I finished it last December, and I'm sure I've talked about this before. So I wore it and I loved it, and I wore it to David Lloyd to take Jasper swimming, and somebody actually stopped me in the cafe and said, "Oh my God, me and my friends love your jumper. Where did you get it?" And I was like, "Oh, I made it. Yay." Felt really good. But I was never happy. It's got an I-cord neckline, and then it also had an I-cord cuffs and hem. And I just didn't like the way it sat. It was fluted and it just didn't look finished nicely. It wasn't very professional looking. So what I did was I went back and I picked up at great painstaking lengths, I can tell you, because it's black yarn held double with sequin yarn. I went back and picked up the stitches and re-knit the cuffs and hem. Now it was even more of a pain than that, because basically what happened was I picked up the first cuff, which was tricky but wasn't terrible because there weren't many stitches. The yarn was Cascade 220, I believe. No, Cascade Heritage, just black, 4-ply, nothing exciting, merino nylon, held with this sequin yarn, which is King Cole Cosmos. So all like very affordable yarns. so I picked up the stitches, which wasn't too bad. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't too bad because there wasn't many stitches. Knit the cuff, and I knit the cuff nice and long, and also on a much smaller needle. I can't remember numbers now, but much smaller needle, because I like my cuffs to be long and tight. I hate it if you've got a baggy cuff and your sleeves, like you can't push your sleeves up and they won't stay there and stuff like that. So I was really keen to have nice long, nice tight cuffs. So I did that, and when I bound off, the cuff felt a bit tight, and I was like, oh no. I was like, it's a cuff, it's fine. I'm going to leave it, and on the hem I'll go up a couple of needle sizes on the bind off. So I then decided to do the hem next, because I thought then I've done one cuff, I'll do the hem, and then all I have to do is one nice quick easy cuff and it'd be fine. Well, the hem was a nightmare because it took ages to pick up because there were lots of stitches. Then I sized down on the needle for the rib, and I did the rib, which was fine. But then I sized up, like it was easily 2, if not 3 needle sizes to bind off. I thought it'd be really go on the safe side with it. Bound off as loosely as I could, and it was still tight. So I was like, I can't have this. And I should say at this point, I'm calling it a new academic year resolution. I've kind of got a couple at the moment. It's that kind of time of year for teachers. I kind of find this feels more new year for me than actual new year. So yeah, I thought, right, I'm fed up of knitting garments that don't fit me properly and I don't end up wearing them. It's pointless. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of yarn. So from now on, I'm going to be really good. And if I'm not happy, I'm going to go back and I'm going to unpick. As painful as it is, I'm going to unpick and I'm going to redo it, and I'm going to make it work for me. So I put on my big girl pants and I unpicked the bind off, and I had a little chat with some friends, and somebody suggested an Italian sewn bind off, but I didn't know enough about it. I didn't know if it'd be stretchy enough. And then somebody else suggested, oh no, my brain's gone. Oh, somebody else suggested the really stretchy bind off. It was Paula, stitched by Mrs. D. Paula suggested that I did this really stretchy bind off where you knit 2 and then knit them together through the back loop. But I said I always find that really flutes out and I don't like the look of it. But she showed me a shawl where she'd done that and it didn't. But the shawl had been blocked quite firmly, so it was that was stretched out. So what I decided to do in the end was on the knit stitches, because this is a 2x2 rib, on the knit stitches I bound off normally, and then I bound off the stretchy method. So I did the knit 2 together through the back loop, and then on the purl stitches I bound off normally. So it kind of gave me a bit of stretch but not too much, and I ended up really happy with that. So I went back and I undid the bind off on the cuff, and I did the same there, and then I did the other cuff, and I am so happy with it. And all of that stress and hard work was totally worth it. I mean, you should have seen me doing it. I could only do it in the daylight, and I was getting really annoyed because most of my knitting time is in the evening when Jasper is asleep. I get some in the daytime, but it was really concentrated knitting, so I really needed some time where I could concentrate and have the daylight. So I was sitting right in front of the window with all the lights I could possibly have on here. It was a nightmare, but I would still knit another one because I just love the finish. The fit is so perfect. It's got exactly the right amount of ease. God, with my hair, that's so annoying. I've just taken ages to do a French plait, and now I've pulled a bit out. Yeah, so I'm just thrilled with it, and I think I will wear this a ton. It's nice and sparkly, so it'd be great for Christmas, but I'm definitely sparkles are not just for Christmas kind of girl, so I will definitely be wearing this, and you'll see there's going to be more sparkles in my life soon. So that's the cumulus tea. Next, you saw last time I had almost finished my toaster tea. and I have now finished it, and I've worn it a few times. So again, I'm really pleased that, you know, paying a bit of attention to fit and, you know, making things right is definitely paying off. So yeah, this is the Tulsa tee by the Crayabea. I believe she's got a pattern sale on this weekend. It was her 30th birthday yesterday, and she has 30% off her patterns. So go check her out. She's got some gorgeous patterns. I definitely want to knit some more of hers. Although I will say, what I'm finding at the moment with a lot of designers, their designs really attract me, and then quite often they're in DK or worsted. And I just find, number one, they're generally a bit too thick and hot for me. And number two, it just makes it so expensive. Like DK yarn and particularly worsted yarn are the same price as fingering yarn, but you need so much more of it. So, you know, and I've got so much fingering weight yarn already at my disposal. I don't want to go buying heavier yarn. So yeah, I'm finding it a bit frustrating. I'll talk about it more in a minute when I come to my other garment project. But you know, this is a lovely fingering weight tee, and this is really great because she's designed this in DK and fingering, and there are so many modifications and adaptations you can make to it. It's a really great tee. I did actually change the recommended increases because, as you know, I made one of these before, and I didn't like, I believe they were make one increases, and it just bunched up under here. I didn't like it at all. So this time I've done knit front and back, and I just like the look of it. For me, it just, my preference, much happier with it. So the colour is blowing out a bit. It's not as pale as that. Yeah, it's just it's a very pale lilac. That's better. And the colourway is Parma by Bird Street Yarn, which is ad gifted yarn because Claire from Bird Street Yarn is my sister. So any Bird Street products you see here are generally ad gifted, just for transparency. Yeah, and I've worn this a ton. I've worn it with shorts, I've worn it with jeans, and that's really good because I've made tees before and just found I didn't want to wear wool in the summer. It doesn't feel nice. I don't like it. But I think with the eyelets, it's made it nice and airy, and I have worn it quite a few times already. So winner, winner. And only 2 skeins of yarn, which is great too. Right, sorry, quick drink. So moving on, I'll just show you this. I bought this whip up. I've done very little on it, but I wanted to show you because last time I showed it, it gave me momentum to keep going on it. So I'm going to do that again. So this is the Boneyard Shaw, which is a free pattern from Stephen West. And it's great. It's super simple. Just stocking stitch background. So there is some purling involved, but it's not terrible. And some garter ridges with, you have a choice of increases. So you can either do make ones so you don't get eyelets, or you can do yarn overs so that you do. So I went for that because he kind of recommends that that's the quicker one to do. But also it's a bit more interest, isn't it? So I really like that. The yarn I'm using is Drops Lima, which is 65% wool, 35%, sorry, I said that covering my face, 65% wool, 35% alpaca. And that is roughly a DK, is a heavy end of a DK, but it's lovely and bouncy. And I'm holding that double with this gorgeous Rico Creative Make It Tweed, which is really fun. It's just this like multicoloured fine thread with colourful neps. So you can make any yarn a tweedy yarn, which is really super fun. And yeah, I'm loving the fabric I'm getting. I think this would just be really wearable because it's very neutral and nice and warm and snuggly too. So just ploughing away at that. I'm just going to keep going until I'm happy with the size, to be honest. I think it's quite flexible in that respect. But yes, not made tons of progress on it. I've not put much time into it, but it is a nice, really vanilla project that I can just pick up when I feel like that sort of thing. But let's move on to my main whip. So I wanted to make another sparkly sweater. When my mojo disappeared the other week, I watched an episode of The Grocery Girls, and I should always watch them when my mojo goes, because they always inspire me. They're always wearing something fantastic. They've always got loads of really cool patterns that they're shouting out, and I always come away from their episodes, you know, bursting with ideas. So yeah, I should definitely do that more often when I've lost my mojo. So you will probably, if you're a fan of The Grocery Girls like I am, you would probably notice they're very big on their bling at the moment. So I decided I wanted to make another sparkly jumper, kind of for the wintry season coming up, but just for sparkle really. You don't need to have an excuse. So I am using, again, King Cole Cosmos, and this is just silver with silver holographic sequins. Quite hard to show, but you'll see it better actually in the sweater. And I'd heard both the Twin Set and Pearl Girls and Ruth from Ruth Loves to Knit talk about this Yarnsmiths yarn. Have I got a full skein of it somewhere? Oh, I can't reach, never mind. So this is Wool Warehouse's own brand yarn, and it's amazing. It's 75-25 merino nylon, so you know, the kind of sock blend we're all used to. It's so soft. I actually heard Ruth describe it as too soft for one of the patterns she was knitting. It's gorgeous, and I chose this, which is like the palest grey. I can't remember what the colourway is called. I have got a ball band. So, oops. There is the ball band. Yarnsmiths merino sock, super wash. Yeah, it's merino nylon, 400 meters to 100 grams. There's only a shade number on there, but I'm sure the shade was called something like a hint of grey or something like that. It was, yeah, along those lines. And that's the label for the King Cole Cosmos, and the colourway is Galactica. So yes, I decided I wanted to knit the Lento sweater. So I'd seen lots of people knit them, and I really liked the style. So I decided to go for it. And I looked on Ravelry and I checked the yarn weight before I bought the pattern. I looked at the yarn weight and it said fingering. So I was like, great, I've got sweater quantities of fingering weight. Fantastic. I then bought the pattern, and it's not fingering weight. It says in the pattern, it says fingering weight held with a lace weight. So like a mohair or whatever. Why that isn't listed in the pattern listing on Ravelry, I don't know, because everybody else who holds two yarns together lists that on the pattern listing. And also the gauge is massive. The gauge is much bigger than I'd ever get with the suggested needle size and the suggested yarns. The gauge is like a worsted Aran weight. It's huge. So, and I think that's not the only problems with the pattern. I've not had any problem. I think that some of them might have been fixed. But when you look at the pattern comments on Ravelry, there's a lot of people saying it's confusing. There's this wrong with it, that wrong with it. So I would recommend it, but I probably wouldn't recommend it if you were a beginner, because there obviously are a few issues with it, let's say. The pattern is by Yona Helen, and it was for Len magazine, or Lina magazine, a few years ago. So I haven't got a proper picture of it. For some reason my printer won't print it all out, but that's the back. But I still really liked it. So, and by this stage I bought the pattern, so I was like, no, I'm going to knit it because I've paid for it. So what I decided to do was I gauge swatched to start off with. I know, transformed character. I gauge swatched, and I think the pattern wanted something like 3.5 stitches per inch, and I got 5.5 stitches per inch holding these two yarns together. So what I did was, I did the maths. I was a good girl. I worked out how many stitches per inch I had, how many inches bust measurement I needed, multiplied the two, and found which pattern size had that number of stitches for the bust. So that actually turned out to be the largest pattern size. And then I was kind of able to cross-reference that, because I was able to say, well, that's sort of roughly the number of stitches I'd expect to have if I was knitting myself a finger and weight sweater. So it worked out just right. And I chatted to Joe and Rachel from Twin Set and Pearl about it, and they said, well, you'll kind of get an idea straight away if it kind of looks too small or too big. So I started, and the lovely thing, one of the things I like most about the Lento is it's got this folded collar. I just think it looks so neat and professional and lovely, and unlike anything I'd knit before. So you do a provisional cast on, you knit the rib, and then you like, it's got instructions for how to make the folded collar. So I did that. I started the short rows, started the raglan increases, all the markers were in there. And then I realised that the neck hole looked too small to go over my head. So I tried it on, and it did go over, but it was tighter than I would like. It was too tight around my neck. And I wasn't very far in. I was like, do you know what? Let's do it. Let's start again. I need to be happy with this. So I went back, and I was really happy with it. And now, as you can see, I've separated for sleeves, and I'm motoring down the body. Now, what I will say is I'm not 100% sure about the armholes yet. I think they feel slightly too big, but I think if I hadn't picked up so many stitches when I was separating for sleeves, I wouldn't have the ease I wanted in the body. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do, and what I think I'm going to move onto before I finish the body, is I'm going to pick up the sleeves, and I think I'm going to go down a needle size so that my gauge is slightly smaller, just pull it in a tiny bit, and I'll maybe do more sleeve decreases. But I don't mind a baggy sleeve. I don't mind a nice loose armhole. So I think I'm going to be perfectly happy with. I don't think it's a, you know, rip it out and start again kind of problem. I think there are ways I can make sure I'm happy with it. But so far I'm really happy with the fit. I love the fabric. It's just the kind of density I want. The sparkle and the yarn together just look amazing. It's got this really delicate, subtle sparkle, which I love. I showed it to my mum yesterday, or the day before, and she touched it and she was like, oh wow, I thought it was going to be rough, but it's not at all. And I can confirm it is not rough. And my mum's quite a delicate creature. She likes things soft and comfortable. So she would have said if she thought it was too rough. Yeah, and hi mum, if you're watching, well, I know you'll be watching. My poor mum broke her arm a few weeks ago. She fell in through my front door and broke her arm. So she's in a lot of pain, feeling very sorry for herself at home. So hi mum, love you. So yes, really super happy with it so far. If this comes out how I think it's going to come out, I'm going to wear it tons. Yeah, and just really happy that I've got into a place where I'm starting to make garments that fit, and I've sort of learned from my experiences enough that I'm not just putting up with ill fitting. So yeah, that's that one, and I don't think it'll be too long before that's finished. It is flying off the needles. Now, I'll sort of give you a little few snippets about my new design. So I have designed a new sock. Basically, I wanted to use, I had this very precious skein of yarn, which is, this is all that's left now, of the yarn that I dyed at the Woolay retreat in 2022. It's really gorgeous. Sorry, the colours aren't showing up brilliantly today, but it's just the light. That's better. and it was obviously really precious. It had really precious memories, but I tried to knit it a couple of times and ended up pulling it back because it was kind of too busy for what I was trying to do, and I couldn't find the right thing. So I decided the best way to combat that was to design something. So I designed some socks, and I then thought, well, if these socks work with really busy, you know, speckled variegated yarns, then maybe they'd work well with stripes and with tonals. So that could kind of be my angle, is that, you know, it's kind of a sock designed to use those precious skeins that are kind of a bit busy, or, you know, you really want to show it off. So I wanted to find, for the pattern, so that the pattern pictures look nice, I wanted to find a striped and a tonal yarn that went together with this yarn, so that I had this lovely collection. So I went off looking for a stripy yarn that matched, and there are so few self-striping dyers out there now, which I totally understand. It blows my mind how they do it. So I put a little call out on Instagram to see if anybody maybe had something in their stash that they wanted to de-stash, or somebody had spotted something, or there was a yarn dye I didn't know about. And my lovely friend Jem from The Little Grey Girl came back to me, who is a fantastic self-striping designer. She said, I'll dye something for you. So I was like, whoa, that would be really cool. So we talked about colours and sent some pictures back and forth, and we also picked a tonal yarn to go with, and she has come up with just the perfect colour match. So here is, I mean, you can't tell the stripes yet, but here is what Jem has dyed, and here is my yarn. They just go together perfectly. And then she's also given me a skein of this pink, which is called Charmandine, for the tonal pair. So watch this space. I wonder if I can show you. This is all living in my very precious Stitch by Mrs. D bag, whose name is Arthur, and he's not nearly as much trouble as Paula said he was going to be. I can just show you the cuff so that you can see the stripes happily. The cuff has worked out one stripe of each, which is really cool. So you've got the cerise pink, the navy blue, the kind of seafoam green, and then a very pale sort of silvery grey. So it's coming along really nicely. I've now written the pattern and am knitting the second sample, because obviously I've got 3 samples to knit. I have some fantastic test knitters lined up. I put a little call out, and straight away a couple of very experienced test knitters that I know got back to me, and they're going to be off and working on that really soon. So hopefully it won't be too long, but I'm not putting any time pressure on any of us, and it'll be ready when it's ready. But I hope everyone likes it. I'm really nervous about it. It's been such a long time, so yeah, we'll see. So anyway, moving on, because I've been talking for ages and I've got loads to do. One quick acquisition today. I have got another one, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to show it, so I will show you that another time. Claire very kindly gave me the other day this gorgeous sock bag. I was like absolutely fawning over it, and Claire doesn't very often do little bags, little sock bags. They're normally a bit more substantial, so it's nice to have one of her little sock bags that I can use when I'm out and about or whatever, because I always keep knitting in the car. So this, I'm pretty sure, oh, I'm doubting myself now. No, I want to say the fabric's Cath Kidston, but I'm not sure. I think I'm wrong now saying that. But it's so cute. It's like vintage, like space men, like little children in rockets and stuff. Is so cute. Inside is this gorgeous gold spotty fabric. She's got a little loop with her brand new custom made tags from Yarnistry. They say Bird Street Yarn on. Loop for your stitch markers or whatever, and a lovely drawstring. I love it so much. It's so cool. I think that might be my sock knitting bag for pool socks, because it's got the little boys on it. So yes, very cute. And finally, I just want to share some future knitting. So now I'm fully in the sparkly jumper groove. I've had this sweater quantity. Sorry, I can't open the bag. I've had this sweater quantity of Mummy Kissing Santa by Bird Street Yarn. This is one of their really popular Christmas colours, and they gave me it was 3 skeins that were not quite up to their very exacting standards a couple of years ago, and I've not gone around to use it yet. It's on Silver Stellina, and I've been kind of saving it for maybe a Christmassy garment. And I decided, I got some of this Kremke Stellaris, which is viscose polyester and metallic thread. It's lace weight, but it's really good. This is 560 meters to 25 grams. So I only need 2 of this for a garment, 2 of these for a garment. And I think they were about £8 each, I want to say. So not too bad. Colours go really well together. It's just going to be so super sparkly, and I wanted to hold something with it just to give it a bit more weight, just get a bigger gauge with it. So I was going to knit another lento with it, but now I'm thinking, I've got this idea in my head that I could knit a Whitmore cardigan with it, because I have a Whitmore cardigan, but I knit it and then lost a load of weight and it's miles too big. And a Whitmore cardigan for Christmas in this would be so pretty. So I think that's what it's going to be. I haven't decided fully, but I think that is the plan. So that's all the knitting. Finally, I just wanted to say that in just under 2 weeks, it was 2 weeks yesterday, it's the Southern Wool Show at Newbury Racecourse. I am actually going. I haven't been to a yarn show in so long. I think the last time I went to a yarn show was Unravel 2020, I think. Was it 2020 or was it 2019? No, it was 2019. It was 2019 because I was in Paris in 2020. Yeah, it was 2019. So it's been 5 long years since I've been to a yarn show, which is nuts. So I'm going to be going on the Saturday. Daddy daycare is in full operation, so I can go. Yes, so I will be going along. I will mainly, I'm sure, be lurking around the Bird Street yarn stand. So do come and say hi if you are there. I have made a few little goodies to give out. So if you come and see me, I might have some little treats. Yeah, I'm really hoping to catch up with some friends, some other podcasters, hopefully some viewers would be lovely. So yeah, do come and say hello. I'm really looking forward to seeing James from James Makes Yarn. Always a pleasure to see him. He is lovely. And my Kelly from Lay Family Yarns, and Nick. Can't wait to give Kelly the biggest squeeze because it's been years since I've seen her. And hopefully, yeah, lots of other people. I'm really, really excited. It's going to be great. So yeah, if you are there, do come over and say hi. I'd love to meet you. So I need to go because I've got loads to do. We've got partying to do this afternoon. But I hope you have a lovely rest of the weekend, especially if you're in the UK. Enjoy the bank holiday Monday. And I expect now the next time I see you will be after the Southern Wool Show, hopefully with a few new goodies to share and hopefully with a nice finished sparkly sweater. So look after yourselves, take care, enjoy the end of the summer, and I will see you soon. Bye.